The rain hit the tin roof like gunfire when Deshawn stepped out of his black SUV. He'd bought this broken shack deep in the woods of Oregon to forget everything. The city, the cameras, and the screams that still haunted his nights. The air smelled of rust and wet soil, and for the first time in months, he could breathe without hearing his wife's last words echoing in his head. But then he heard it, a faint sound coming from inside. Crying. Not the kind of cry that belonged to the wind, but the trembling sobs of a woman. He froze. No one was supposed to be here. His hand tightened around the key as the old door creaked open. Inside, the floor groaned under his boots. The smell of damp wood and fear filled the air. In the flicker of his phone flashlight, he saw movement. A pale face in the dark corner, blonde hair matted with rain, clutching something under a torn blanket. "Who's there?" His voice came out lower than he expected. A woman's whisper answered, "Please, don't call the cops." She looked up, her eyes swollen and red, terrified but defiant. She wasn't homeless. She looked hunted. "I'm sorry," she stammered. "I just needed somewhere safe." Deshawn lowered the light slightly. He could see the bruises on her wrists, the trembling in her breath. "What are you hiding from?" he asked quietly. The woman didn't answer. She just looked at the window, as if afraid someone else might be watching. That's when Deshawn noticed a strange folder beside her. Papers with an official seal and a police badge clipped to the top. His pulse quickened. That wasn't just fear in her eyes. It was guilt. If this already made your blood boil, hit like and subscribe right now, because stories like this are still happening, and the world needs to hear them. The next morning, the world looked different. The rain had stopped, but the forest was heavy with fog, as if even the trees wanted to hide what had happened last night. Deshawn brewed instant coffee over the rusty stove he'd repaired himself. The shack was quiet now, except for the occasional creak that reminded him it wasn't entirely empty anymore. In the corner, the same white woman sat wrapped in an old blanket, her eyes scanning every shadow like she expected danger to walk through the door at any second. Her name was Ashley, and she hadn't said much since the night before. When he offered her a cup of coffee, her fingers trembled as she took it. "You don't have to be afraid," Deshawn said softly. Ashley nodded, but her silence told a different story. He glanced at the folder she'd been guarding, the one with the police seal. "Who are you running from, Ashley?" She looked up, her eyes filled with exhaustion and something deeper, guilt. "You wouldn't believe me," she whispered. "People like me aren't supposed to say what I know." Deshawn frowned. "Try me." She hesitated, then asked, "You ever lose someone because of power?" The question hit him harder than he expected. He turned away for a moment, staring out the cracked window. 6 months ago, his wife Imani had been killed in what police called a car accident, but the investigation was rushed. The witnesses vanished, and every door he knocked on was slammed in his face. She had been a journalist, one who wrote about racial profiling and corruption inside city departments. The story she was working on before she died, it involved cops. Deshawn didn't talk about her much anymore. The world didn't care how she died, just that she had stopped asking questions. When he looked back, Ashley was watching him, tears forming. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I know that kind of silence. The kind they force on you when you see something you weren't supposed to." Her words carried a weight he couldn't ignore. For the first time, he realized this meeting in a forgotten shack might not be coincidence. The fire crackled in the old metal stove, the only sound between them for several minutes. Ashley's hands were clasped tight, her knuckles pale. Deshawn waited, giving her space to speak. Finally, she broke the silence. "My husband was a police officer," she began. "Sergeant Ryan Cole. Everyone called him a hero." Her voice trembled, but her eyes were steady. "He was the kind of man who smiled for cameras after arresting protesters. The kind who said racism was just an excuse. I thought he was strict, not evil. Until the night I found what he kept in his office." Deshawn leaned forward. "What did you find?" Ashley took a deep breath. "A hard drive, hidden under floorboards. It had video files, body cam footage that never made it to evidence. It showed officers targeting black men on purpose, beating them, framing them." She paused. One of the victims was your wife's source. Deshawn's chest tightened. What? Imani, Ashley whispered. I recognize her from the news after crash. She met with one of those men, a young officer who wanted to expose a unit. The night after she met him, he disappeared. 2 days later, her car was found off the bridge. The sound in the room vanished, swallowed by a weight that made breathing hard. Deshawn's fingers gripped the edge of the table until his knuckles burned. Ashley looked down. When I confronted Ryan, he didn't deny it. He just said, "You don't understand how deep this goes." He told me if I ever spoke, no one would believe a woman who married a cop. He had friends in every department, judges, reporters, even inside the mayor's office. She reached the folder again, pulling out a small flash drive. I copied everything, every video, every name. That's why I ran. Deshawn stared at the drive, a tiny piece of metal holding the truth his wife died for. Why come here? He asked quietly. Ashley met his eyes. Because I searched for somewhere no one would look. And this shack, it's registered under a property fund owned by Technova Investments. That's you, right? Deshawn blinked, stunned. Even his secret getaway wasn't as private as he thought. She exhaled. If they find me, they'll kill me. But if you help me, maybe we can finish what your wife started. For the first time since Imani's death, Deshawn felt something stronger than grief. Rage, focused, alive, and ready to burn through everything that tried to bury the truth. If this happened right in front of you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you want justice as much as I do, hit subscribe. Deshawn sat in silence, the tiny flash drive lying between them like a ticking bomb. Outside, the wind howled through the forest, and for the first time, he didn't feel like a man running from pain. He felt like a man standing on the edge of war. He picked up the drive and turned it over in his hand. Do you know what this means? He said slowly. Ashley nodded. It means I'm not the only one they'll come for. He pushed his chair back and stood up. When my wife died, I promised myself I wouldn't waste another breath chasing ghosts. But this, he looked at her, at the fear, the courage, the shame fighting in her face. This isn't a ghost. This is proof. Ashley's voice softened. Then you'll help me? Deshawn's jaw tightened. I'll do more than help. We're going to expose them. He turned toward his laptop, booted it up, and connected a satellite hotspot from his SUV. Within seconds, encrypted files began to copy from the flash drive onto his screen. Body cam videos, financial transfers, secret meeting logs. Every line confirmed what Imani had been chasing before they silenced her. Deshawn's stomach twisted when he saw one name. Lieutenant Harrison Mills, the same man who'd publicly dismissed his wife's investigation. And next to it, Sergeant Ryan Cole. He clenched his fists. They killed her to protect this. Ashley placed a hand on his arm. Then let's finish what she started. He looked at her for a long moment. The woman who had once lived beside corruption was now the only witness who could destroy it. And somehow, she trusted a stranger to save her life. The firelight flickered across Deshawn's face, catching the reflection of his eyes. Sharp, alive, no longer broken. They think we're powerless, he said quietly. They forgot who they're dealing with. Ashley nodded slowly. So what we do first? He turned the screen toward her. First, we hit them where it hurts, their reputation. Then we make sure everyone sees who they really are. Outside, thunder rolled again. Not a storm this time, but the sound of justice waking up. The next 48 hours felt like walking a razor's edge. Deshawn and Ashley moved quietly, speaking in whispers, keeping the lights dim. Every creak and what sounded like footsteps outside. Deshawn used his private company servers to trace connections between the officers and local officials. What he found made his blood run cold. Bank transfers, shell accounts, bribes labeled as community donations. It wasn't just a few dirty cops. It was an entire chain, judges, councilmen, businessmen. The same people who smiled for cameras and talked about equality. Ashley stared at the screen, her breath shallow. They'll bury us for this, she said. Deshawn nodded. Then we make sure they can. He encrypted the evidence, sending copies to anonymous journalists and one trusted friend, Malik, a cybersecurity expert who owed him his life. Within hours, Malik called back, voice tight. "Bro, I just checked your network logs. Someone's already inside. They're tracing you." Deshawn's jaw clenched. "How long do we have?" "Minutes, maybe less." He shut the laptop instantly. "We need to move. Now." Ashley grabbed her folder, shaking. "They found us, didn't they?" Deshawn looked out the window. Headlights flickered through the trees. Slow, deliberate. He reached under the table, pulled a small handgun from a locked case. "I built my empire by being prepared for the worst. Guess today that's paying off." Ashley's voice broke. "They won't let us live if we expose them." He turned to her, eyes cold but steady. "Then we don't hide anymore." Moments later, tires crunched on gravel. A shadowed figure approached the shack's porch. Deshawn raised a weapon, breathing slow, but instead of an intruder, a familiar voice called out, "Deshawn, it's Malik. Don't shoot." He opened the door cautiously. Malik was drenched in sweat, holding a duffel bag. "I got the backups out before they trace you. But listen, you need to release this now, before sunrise." Ashley frowned. "Why?" Malik swallowed hard. "Because I just saw your husband's name on the emergency dispatch list. He's alive and leading the task force that's coming for you." The words hit like a thunderclap. Ashley's knees buckled, her face pale. Deshawn caught her before she fell. "Then we do it tonight," he said quietly. "Because when that sun comes up, the world's going to know who they really are." The rain returned before dawn, steady, cold, relentless. Deshawn's laptop glowed in the darkness as he typed furiously. Every click was a countdown. Ashley sat beside him, shaking, her eyes darting to the window with every sound of thunder. "Are you sure this will work?" she whispered. Deshawn didn't look up. "Once I hit upload, the files go to every news network, social platform, and federal oversight account in the country. They can't stop it once it's live." Malik stood guard by the door, phone pressed to his ear. "They're already on the road. 15 minutes out." Ashley took a deep breath. "Then let's end it." Deshawn entered the final command and hit upload. The screen flashed once. Then a status bar appeared. "Uploading 1:25, 50. Suddenly, headlights pierced through the rain-soaked window. Engines roared. Tires screeched. They were surrounded. Malik shouted. "They cut the power lines. Backup battery only." Deshawn clenched his teeth. "We don't need much, just one more minute." Ashley stepped toward the door, her voice trembling but strong. "Ryan, you don't have to do this." Outside, a voice shouted back through a megaphone. Cold, commanding, familiar. "Step out now, Ashley. You're under arrest for theft of federal evidence." Her husband's voice. The same tone that once told her she was safe. Inside, Deshawn whispered, 80% 90, bullets shattered the front window. Malik ducked, returning fire to keep them back. "Ryan!" Ashley screamed again. "It's over. Everyone's going to see what you've done." He didn't answer, only silence and the pounding of boots approaching. Then the laptop beeped softly. Upload complete. Deshawn hit send to all. At that exact second, his satellite link blinked green. Global connection restored. Every news feed, every channel. Every phone across the city lit up with one headline. Seattle PD racist task force exposed, body cam footage leaked. The chaos outside froze. Radios crackled. Shouts turned to disbelief. Ashley stepped onto the porch, tears mixing with rain. Her husband stood there, weapon trembling in his hands, face drained of color. From a radio on his shoulder, a dispatcher's voice echoed. "All units, stand down. Federal investigation in progress." Deshawn stepped beside her, lowering his gun. "It's done," he said quietly. "They can't bury it anymore." The storm had finally broken, not just outside, but in every corrupt heart that thought they'd never be caught. By sunrise, the forest was silent again. Police cars were gone. The news helicopters had left. Only the echo of rain dripping from the shack's roof remained, calm, cleansing, final. Ashley sat on the porch wrapped in Deshawn's old jacket, staring into the morning light. Her eyes were swollen, but the fear that once lived there was gone. For the first time in years, she wasn't running. Deshawn stepped outside holding 2 mugs of steaming coffee. He handed her one and sat beside her without a word. The air smelled of wet pine and smoke. For a long moment, they just listened to the quiet. "They took him," she whispered finally. "Ryan, he didn't even try to run." Deshawn nodded. He knew it was over. "They all did." She looked at him, voice trembling. "You lost your wife because of this. I lost my life because I looked away too long. Maybe this was supposed to happen." He turned toward her. "No," he said softly. "It happened because the wrong people had power, and the rest of us stayed silent. Not anymore." From his phone, news alerts kept lighting up. Hundreds of thousands of views. Reporters calling it the Seattle Truth Leak. Imani's name was everywhere again. Not as a victim, but as a journalist whose investigation finally brought justice. Ashley smiled faintly. "She'd be proud of you." Deshawn looked at the sunrise, eyes reflecting the first light. "She'd be proud of both of us." The world outside their small shack was changing. Slowly, painfully, but it was changing. What started with 2 broken people in the dark had become a movement none of them could have predicted. Deshawn exhaled deeply. "You know," he said with a small smile, "for the first time, this place doesn't feel like a hiding spot anymore. It feels like peace." Ashley leaned her head against the wall, eyes closing in relief. "Then let's keep it that way. If you believe this should never happen again, share this now. And to my USA, UK, and Canadian viewers, your voice is power. Use it.